This is Tailgate Talk, presented by Tarpon Blue.
Let's take a ride. In this series, we're going to show you everything Texas and its surrounding southern states has to offer, right here from our very own tailgate.
We'll take you from life on the farm and the ranch to the big city lights. This is Tailgate Talk. Come along for the ride. Welcome to this week's episode of Tailgate Talk. I'm Katie Abermite. In this week's episode, we're continuing our series on downtown Seguin. We're going to bring you some information about the world's largest pecan, and we're going to take you to some of my favorite historical landmarks right here in the downtown area. So let's get started. One of the most frequently asked questions that I get as a native of Seguin is, what's the deal with the world's largest pecan and the big nut in front of the courthouse? Well, let me tell you a little bit about this large pecan. It is just a statue. It's not an actual pecan. And it is dedicated to the memory of Cabeza de Vaca, who was a traveler who came to this area and traveled along the River of Nuts, which today is known as the Guadalupe River. This pecan is made of cement and plaster. It is just over 5 foot long and weighs over 1,000 pounds. It was the world's largest pecan up until some time ago. There was one built in Missouri that was just a little bit bigger. Seguin lost its title for having the world's largest pecan for a short amount of time until Mr. Pape built one that was 10 feet long. If you visit Seguin today, you can most certainly see this pecan as well as the pecan Mr. Pape built at his pecan house, Pape Pecan, or there is a 16-foot large, which is the longest pecan in the world, still to this day, at the Texas Agricultural and Heritage Museum, otherwise known as the Big Red Barn. Another question I get asked all the time is Seguin. What is with the name Seguin? If you're from here, you know, it gets misspelled on postcards or packages. It's Sequin, Saigon, all kinds of different things. We're going to go learn a little bit about Juan Seguin, who our great town is named after. Come with me. Seguin was originally established in 1838 by members of Matthew Caldwell's Gonzales Rangers. It was not incorporated, however, until 1953. After it was incorporated, the name changed to honor Colonel Juan N. Seguin, who was a lieutenant in the struggle for Texas independence. Today, a statue of Juan Seguin is dedicated here in our Central Park. There are so many historical markers right here in the downtown area of Seguin, as well as all around this area. Today, the Seguin Conservation Society does a great job of preserving a few of those. Next, we're going to go take a look at some of them. So let's go. A few blocks south of Central Park, you'll see the Heritage Village, which is a collection of historical buildings preserved by the Seguin Conservation Society. Let's take a look at a few of those buildings. So here we are in front of the Los Nogales Museum. It is one of the oldest structures in Seguin. It was built originally in 1849, and the citizens of Seguin have worked hard to preserve it. Today, you can take a tour of it. There are some unique artifacts inside. To the right, we have the Dietz dollhouse, which was a dollhouse built for an orphan who was the adopted daughter of Louis Dietz and his sister, Miss Molly Alice. The dollhouse was built for Alice in the early 1900s. It was donated back to the Seguin Conservation Society in 1967. Today, it houses lots of dolls and other memorabilia from that time period. Behind me, you'll see the Campbell Cabin. As the sign says, John Campbell of Ireland immigrated here to the United States in about 1847. He possibly built the first room of this cabin in about 1850. Then he went back to Ireland, brought back some of his family, reportedly about 23 members of his family, and built the second half of the cabin to accommodate them. The cabin has not always been located right here in Heritage Village. It was located elsewhere and moved here in 1979. The descendants of the Campbell family actually used the cabin up until about 1957. Located right next door to the log cabin is Seguin's first church. Let's go take a look at it and see what unique things we can find over there. This charming church house is Seguin's first church. It was built in 1850. And you notice it has two doors. One was for the women and children's entrance, and the other is for the men's entrance. The church has not always been located right here. It was purchased and moved here in 1990 by the Seguin Conservation Society. Next, let's stop at our final destination, which is the Calaboose. Let's go take a look. The last stop on our tour today is the Calaboose. It is a favorite by many local visitors. It's basically a prison on wheels. This wagon was used to transport prisoners throughout town and from jail to jail. It was pulled by horses, and today you can come by the Heritage Village and take a look inside. I'd like to say a big thank you to the Seguin Conservation Society for preserving all of these historical landmarks for our city. Also, there are a few things we didn't even touch on. So much history in this area. So, like the Texas Theater. That is another great landmark in this area that you should go check out. If you see a historical marker around, stop and take a look. We'll see you next time on Tailgate Talk.
Thanks for tuning in today, and thank you to our guests for sharing their story.
Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll see you next time on Tailgate Talk.
We'll tell you things you might not know.